Well, alrighty. Today is February 21st, about 11 in the morning. And, nope, not that stick. There's another stick over there somewhere. Right in there is a stone liner I've probed out. And I'm going to get to slinging some dirt, fast and furious. And hopefully bring you along when I find something cool and curious. But it has to be cool and curious. Yeah, can't just be or. Cool and curious. Now that could be me. I'm cool and curious. Yeah. But I'm not very interesting. Sad to say. Well, alrighty. After a little over an hour, pretty solid digging. I started running into these big chunks of limestone. I don't know if you can see that one back there. Start that again. Big chunk of limestone back there. I had to lump out along with a scattering of other chunks. Not as big, but I don't know if you can see, but this wall here is bulging inward, which usually indicates a privy that was either never filled in until very late, or it was filled in very loosely, which is almost never seen. And this is wet, heavy clay. So it's slow going, slower than I thought it would be. With a sorted root here and there. There's a pretty good size root right along in there. I'm going to have to hack out as soon as I dig back down to it. Anyway, just an hourly update. This one was a little longer than an hour, but a few scraps of window pane and assorted plateware on occasion, and that's been it. Not a bottle scrap yet. So I don't know where they are. They gotta be there. Yeah, not even feeling a use layer down there. Yeah, I poked myself down to about 4-5 feet. So anyway, plugging along. Well, alrighty, another hour's gone by, and the only thing I get to show for it is a chunk of a, looks like a early beer bottle, although the color looks too old. It looks early, old amber. You can get it up there. It's whittled. It looks older than what a beer bottle should. So it might be one of those 1/6 of a whiskey cylinder or something. Other than that, just more rock and rubble and a few more dish pieces, and that's been it. But then again, I'm not that deep yet, so I gotta keep plugging along and hope there's something at the bottom, wherever that is. I'm still hitting rock wall, so I know I'm not at the bottom yet. Yeah. Well, at the 3-hour mark, not much has changed other than the shards are getting more interesting. This bad boy came out last. Looking at least 1870s, if not 60s or earlier. And this came out right before it. Well, not right before it, but before it. And it appears to be a base. Not much of a shard, but ooh, baby, I wish it had gone over a little bit more, as it sure looks like it could have been Pontiled. Especially when you get up close and personal on this thing. It's real whittly and looks 1850s. And then this, I haven't tried to match it up, but I presume it's the base to what I originally thought was a beer. A nice little kick up. I don't see any iron residue from a Pontiled or anything. Don't feel anything. But it didn't miss by much. I'll tell you what, that's early. I'd guess early 60s. And that's it. 3 hours. And it's still going down. But I have to keep reminding myself it's a Pontiled age pit with potential Pontileds at the bottom. So even though I'm not energized by a good bottle yet, I can keep hoping, staying energized, thinking there's Pontiled stuff at the bottom. Yeah. Well, not more than 10 minutes after my last video, this bad boy rolls out of the hole. So quickly I didn't have time to do any kind of video. Boy, that lip looks so crude, although that does look like a chip. Arrrg. But boy, what a crude 1860s looking all day long little guy. The base is one of those full circle key molds. The side with all the dirt on it is the side of the key. Very cool. So, you know, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Digging my butt off for 3 hours. I hope I average 1 an hour at least before I quit for the day. Although my goal is to dig out the whole thing and fill it in one day. Which remains to be seen. Alrighty, today is February 22nd. I'm back here at the stone liner. About 10 o'clock. And I hope to get this thing done today. Down about 8 or 9 feet already. And no sign of the bottom. Also no sign of any Pontiled stuff. Everything's early as 60s. To that point, this is what I ended up with yesterday is, yeah, half a dozen of these short, I don't know, whiskeys. Yeah, too early for bottled beer. English ale, black glass, and what I thought was Grandpa's sipping jug is a nice big old food crock with no debossing, no stamp, no nothing. So anyway, I'm here to get at it. Yep. Well, alrighty. After a few more of these ales or whatever, I finally started digging up tops. I mentioned this one earlier, a green one. Well, I finally dug up an amber one. Look at that bad boy. Gloppy and, you know, early looking. And so with that in mind, I have one down in the hole there, as you can maybe see. If I get my finger out of the way. And more of the neck is showing than anything else, so I thought I'd better take a break, grab the camera, and bring you along. It may be the only chance for an in situ dig. Everything else is coming out busted or just falling out because they're so small, you know. Anyway, into the hole, I'll bring you along. So, as I was, there we go. Wasn't showing my time. Anyway, I got it kind of at the point. Most of these look pretty short, so I'm not expecting a very long neck on this bad boy. And I didn't realize I even had it wiggled loose. Well, I guess I didn't really. Moment of truth. It feels whole standing upside down. And hey, look at that. Look at that. I'll be darned. First whole large bottle out of the pit. Boy, look at that glop on the lip there. I would love to see that. I don't feel any chips. I don't feel any holes, which is amazing. Every one of these have been dug up headless, except for that green English ale. So hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah, oop. Let me break it against the rock there. Very cool. Well, that's energizing, shall we say. That's energizing. Now we need to start digging up bitters and Pontiled, embossed medicines. You know, I mean, while I'm putting in my order with the bottle goddess, I might as well make it good, right? How about an Indian Queen? The E.G. Booze. Boy, we're right in the sweet spot area for some of those bottles, I'll tell you what, age-wise. However, everything coming out of this dump, even the plateware, dinnerware, is cheap, cheap, cheap. And this guy had money. Go figure. Well, alrighty, after that latest glass discovery, I dug down in this corner to what I believe is the bottom. I feel the rocks feel like they're ending, and what's coming up out of that very lower corner is this greenish, gluey, gooey clay that so far in my experience I have never dug anything whole out of that layer. Occasionally I'll dig up a Pontiled shard or something, but digging solo at my age, 10 feet is as deep as I can get, and I'm already there. So and not only that, I have nowhere else to throw the dirt unless I come all the way out of the hole and drag it around. And you know, there's problems with that. So aside from the fact that I'm old and fat and 10 feet's my limit, I'm running out of room for the dirt. So I am going to start sloughing while staying as deep as I can for the oldest stuff and see what comes of it. And if nothing beyond what I already got, oh well, so be it. At least I got something, you know, right? Well, there are a few things encountered in privy digging that excite me almost as much as a good bottle is a good marble. And this bad boy just popped out at me. Nice little German swirl. That'll show it a little bit better. Yeah, nice little shooter. And in good shape too. It's not all beat to hell. Though it is a little hazy from being buried, but wow, yeah. You know, you dig 1,000 clay marbles before you dig up a German swirl. I bet you these cost a penny a piece. You can get a bag of those clay ones for a penny back in the day. Anyway, I'm just about nearing the end here. So if anything else pops up cool or interesting, this is cool and interesting, I'll try to bring you along. If not, I'll have to just do like I just did. Show you the this just literally rolled out at me. And it was weird when I first picked it up. It felt kind of squishy, almost like a grape or something. I'm like, ew, what is this? Well, I quickly saw the swirl and I went, oh yeah, come to Papa. Alrighty, boys and girls, just pulled out this bad boy. Nice red iron Pontiled base frag. Pretty good size. I was initially thinking it's probably a C. Ellis citrate of magnesia, but looks a bit big for that. But hell, I don't know what else it might be. But evidence, a Pontiled Arrrg pit. Jeez. Yeah. First and probably the last Pontiled shard. Anyway, getting close to the end here. Well, already down in the hole is what looks like an aqua colored cylinder, and I haven't tried to wiggle it yet. Yeah, I think I'll give it a, oh, it's loose. It's out. Oh, missing a big chunk of the lip. Gosh darn it. I got dirt all over my camera here. Doggone it. Oh well. Wah, wah. Wah, wah. Most of these cylinders at this age are unembossed anyway. I don't know if it's got a Pontiled base or not. It doesn't. If it does, it's an iron Pontiled. And it's got the dot in the middle, which is still early. Gosh darn it. Yeah, perfect right to the last part of it. It almost looks like a Wistar's Balsam of Wild Cherry kind of bottle. I don't feel any embossing. Huh. Sad but true. I still would have took it home. Oh well. I still might. Okay, boys and girls, this just rolled out of the deepest depths of the hole. Looks like a paneled ink. Boy, is that Pontiled? Yeah, it's Pontiled. Cool. And sometimes these paneled ones are embossed. Sometimes. 2 out of 4. 3 out of 4. Dun, da, da, da. It's embossed on the last panel. Wowzer. It's a J.J. Butler from Cincinnati. Look at that. Look at that. A little Pontiled embossed ink. Oh my God, that just made the dig worth it. Nice early rolled lip. Nice little open Pontiled. Kind of hard to see probably. Wow. Wow, I can fill it in and go home happy now. Wow, look at that. Oh, also, that one with the chip in the lip, you may have noticed it, but I didn't. It's got a red iron Pontiled residue around it. I've never dug a red iron Pontiled anything. Everything I've dug iron Pontiled was black. Anyway, I'm thrilled to death. Possibly the last bottle, likely the last bottle out of the hole, because there's not hardly anything left down there. But boy, I'm going to give it hell now. Now that I got a goodie. Yeah, sure, you bet. I know they're common, but boy, ask me how many I've ever dug. I can say one. Yeah. Well, Well, one last look at the stone liner. As you can see, this extremely bulges. And then it cuts back pretty quickly back here. And then these corners, this corner, this side bulged out pretty good too. But not like this one. And I'm still not quite sure why that happens. Usually closer to the surface. I'm suspecting less support the higher up or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was a fun dig after all. Yesterday wasn't so fun. Day 2 is usually the payoff day, so today was the payoff. Yep. Well, alrighty there. This is, well, I gotta add this guy briefly. The star of the show. There we go. Now we're almost. I don't want to leave it in the sunlight too much. It's still February, and that's a bright, warm sun out there. Unusual. But this is the star of the show, the J.J. Butler, Cincinnati, Ohio, Pontiled ink. Kind of a schoolhouse square. And I don't think I mentioned in the video, but it was the last bottle out of the hole. I think I suspected that it would be. I'm going to set him over in the shade. I don't care if any of these crack from the heat. And by the way, they will. Or can. Anyway, I shouldn't say will, but it's always a possibility. My next favorite item out of the hole, non-bottle anyway, is this nice little German swirl shooter marble. And yeah, I have a fondness for marbles because I played, I shot marbles as a kid. Played with yo-yos and tops too. Oh, you kids of today. You don't know what you're missing. That thrill of rocking the baby. Or anyway, I digress. Anyway, a neat little unusual find. Cool and unusual, that's what I was looking for. Those two fit the bill. This one's unusual, but it's not all that cool because it's got a fairly good-sized chip in the lip. At first I thought I might have done it, but then I got to looking at it and it's like, no, there's iridescence on the chip. So that's for certain how you can tell that it's not a new chip. I got another one here. This guy there, he's got a bad lip chip, and I'll go over that in a minute. Charles Ellis, Son and Co. And boy, did they have to squeeze CO in there. Look at that baby. I don't know that I've ever seen such a squeeze job before in my life. A squeeze play there. Philadelphia. Ellis and C. Ellis is notably famous for his citrate of magnesia bottles. This one I was unfamiliar with. And so far still, I've only seen them spell out Charles or C. Ellis, not the shortened, abbreviated for Charles. Chaz is short for Charles. Like ROBT is short for Robert. That's for Charles. Anyway, would have been a kind of a cool bottle. I mean, it's 1860s. I have no doubt. Everything in this hole was 1860s. At the very bottom, a scraping of Pontiled stuff. And I really expected more Pontiled stuff because I thought the house, as I recalled, was earlier 1850s, but a review last night showed it was built in 1858. So that didn't leave a whole lot of room for Pontiled stuff. That being said, this is the closest I've ever come. It's kind of hard to see the color in that, but it was bright red when it came out of the ground. Along with that one, this was the first evidence of a Pontiled pit, and that's the residue from an iron or improved Pontiled. Technically newer than the open Pontiled style, but I think they overlapped considerably. Some were like, nah, we're going to stick with the old-fashioned way, and we're not going to go for that newfangled one. That was a good-sized, beefy bottle, although it's kind of a mystery. It's not big enough for a fruit jar and not small enough for a citrate of magnesia. This bad boy could have been just about anything. And at first I didn't think it was Pontiled, because whenever you see one of these little raised bumps in the dead center, they're typically just that, you know, smooth base with a bump dead center. This one clearly has iron Pontiled residue, and it was red when it came out of the ground, and now it's turned black. You know, and as I had mentioned on the video, I've never dug a red Pontiled bottle. The other interesting and cool thing that came out was this headband. I've never seen this style before, with like a comb kind of thing going on the sides. I don't know if that's to hold it in place. I suppose that's to hold it in place. You know, you run that through the hair on the side, and, you know, no maker's mark or anything, but it's that same kind of early plastic that's used on syringes and medical quack devices, like nasal douche tubes and things like that. And it came out of really near the bottom of the hole, and I dug up two others that were in various stages of pieces. Oh, wait a minute. You and I are discovering something simultaneously. We have writing on this bad boy. And by enlarging it on my phone, you can probably read it before I can. I believe there's a patent date on it. And that would help tremendously, because a quick Google search shows headbands didn't become popular till the flapper era. Since Roman times. So it's like, oh, whatever. We'll set that aside and come back to it. And as I showed in the video, so many of these, my gosh, I must have dug a dozen of these bad boys, all missing the tops, broken at the top. And probably only dug 3 or 4 tops. You know, it's like, where'd the other tops go? It's an early one, although it doesn't have the deeper kick up like the other examples I was digging up. And the other examples didn't pee on my table either, like that one just did. Shows you how fresh I dug these up. Anyway, this was the first out of the hole. Nice gloppy top, but a slight chip. Again, an older chip. Oh yeah, back to the chips. This bad boy looks shiny and new, but I don't know how I would have chipped it. I pulled it out of gluey clay, and I encountered it from this way. So the only way I could have chipped this thing was to have hit it with my probe when I, probed a couple of times to see how deep this hole might have gone. But that's clearly a pretty shiny, clean break. And my probe, I mean, to do that kind of damage to a lip must have caught it just right sideways. And then this little bad boy medicine, I was hoping was going to be like a Coffin's liniment or something like that. I've got the number 2 Coffin's. I don't have the number 1 or number 3, and or 4, 5, 6, 7, however many. I think they made 3. Anyway, and lastly, at least on the bottle glass, is one of these little doctor's vials, typically used for injectables, left with the caretaker to administer, which eventually found its way into the privy. This one's a little unusual because it has really no lip. It's like a refired lip. It's not broken off, or, you know, and they were a little neater with their medical supplies back in those days. The doctors kind of got their way with demanding higher quality glass. That's why you don't see these all terribly Benicia glassed out from being buried, or hazy looking. Usually they're even cleaner than this. And occasionally you'll find them Pontiled. I used to have a pretty extensive collection of those things. Anyway, a quick look at this patent date. Paulys, P-A-U-L-Y-S, December 17th, 1867, which is a little newer than I would have expected, considering most of the glass was like early to mid-60s, but hey, these were found a little bit higher up than the older glass, so, and like I mentioned, there were 2 others, but they were really busted up. And the only way I could tell there were 2 others because of these side combs here. And I think they were all identical. So it almost seems to me like they had 3 little girls. I'm assuming that's a girl's. I don't know. You know, I wouldn't try it on my fat head. I know it wouldn't fit my skull, but anyway, it turned out to be a fun dig, mainly because of the J.J. Butlers. You know, without this bad little guy coming out undamaged, the dig would have been pretty much a bust and not even really worth posting anywhere. You know, and unfortunately, these are not like the big city digs or back east digs. These little towns are frustrating, I'll tell you. I dug 10 feet deep, and you know, that ink 10 feet deep was apparently what I was after. Oftentimes I joke, if I could have had x-ray vision to see what was down where I was going to dig to, I would have just filled in what I had dug and walked away. You know what I mean? I would have dug 10 feet deep for that damn Butlers, even though it's not that rare or anything. So there you have it. Dig number 1 of 2024. I did have an earlier dig, but it was a cistern in Hannibal from the 1890s behind a house that had an earlier house on the same property dating back to at least 1854. So I had to stick my nose and shovel into it, and came up empty. So technically this is the first dig of the year. And hopefully a Pontiled pit is the way to start, right? Yeah.